Hey everybody, it's Mike from Procurement Foundry and Andrews from Focal Point. We're here just talking about and getting ready for the big upcoming Atlanta conference for Procurement Foundry on November 15th and the 17th, our annual Engage event. Last year we were in Las Vegas together, and this year we're in Atlanta. So we're really excited to be kind of East Coast bound this year for the first time. And I know I'm not going to spend as much money at the roulette table as I did last year. So I'm a little bit happy about that as well. How are you, Andrews? You have been traveling around the world, my friend.
Yeah, living the dream. So yeah, I returned on the red eye from San Francisco last night. So
Oh,
I'm feeling crisp and rested. It's good.
yeah,
And yeah, it's been a whirlwind. So Amsterdam, Austin, Amelia Island,
yeah.
Phoenix. So yeah, it's been all over the place. Procurement conferencing and networking.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, everywhere I turn now, the Focal Point name is out there and getting more and more exposure, and more people are talking about you every day. So I'm super excited to be a part of this, and for you to. And by the way, thank you. You're one of our greatest sponsors, and we appreciate it. We love the continued support, and we think that what you're doing is great stuff. So I wanted to ask you just a couple quick questions and talk a little bit about Atlanta, if that's okay with you.
For sure.
So the conference is all focused on 2024, forward thinking, what's on people's agendas, what are people kind of going to be focused on for 2024. And I'm sure based on your travels recently, you kind of have a feel for that, at least from talking to people. So what do you think is on people's minds right now?
Well, I think, flavor of the month, as I call it, is the whole idea of intake and procurement orchestration. And
Yep.
I think that is something that people are talking about a lot, but it's such a poorly defined area that it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. And I also
Right.
think it means different things for SMBs than it does for enterprises. Whereas SMBs can do sort of very surfacey
Yeah.
orchestration intake to get the job done, whereas enterprises need a deeper set of orchestration that deals with third-party data, making sure that their processes are adhered to and followed, and so on. So they look at things very differently, but that's certainly what people are continuing to push down on. And I also think ESG is really come to the fore in 2024. I think um,
Yep.
we're still sort of trying to figure out what regulators and governments want us to do as procurement practitioners. And I think in 2024, we're going to start to see companies make strides in those areas.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm hearing kind of the same things inside of the community as well. And I expect there to be, we've got a little bit of content on both of those categories of information while we're in Atlanta. So if you haven't yet, take a look at the agenda and make sure that you get a seat in those sessions. Um, I really like the idea that you said that that the concept of that people are having different issues with defining how their process is going to work and things like that, and how it's one thing for one large company, one for a small company. So I think that it's really interesting that maybe while folks are in Atlanta, they really focus in on keying in on what their definitions are and how they're going to go forward with that. I think that's really interesting.
Right. And it's just the typical old adage, right? So, back in the day, you and I used to have people in blue suits show up at our office and tell us what our requirements were.
Right.
And I
Right.
think I think as procurement professionals, like if we have suppliers telling us what our process should be, they're
Right.
probably not the right people for us, right? So I
Right.
think ultimately, rule number one in procurement, right? Define your requirements,
Yeah.
right? What are you trying to get out of it, rather than sort of looking at the dog and pony show. It's like, yeah, that looks better than I have today. Great, it might, but at the end of the day, like you need to figure out what it is that you want and
Yeah.
make sure your suppliers adhere to that rather than the other way around.
I think that's really interesting. I think if you can come out of the Atlanta conference and come out of your 2024 planning right now, because almost everybody's in it, probably already have their first iteration of their 2024. If they haven't already, they're probably a little bit behind the eight ball. But asking yourself, what do you want to get out of 2024, and what do you want to attempt? Whether it is a transformational platform like bringing in Focal Point and laying that into your operation, or I don't know, improving your staff quality, or getting better relationships with your stakeholders, or all of those things, or hey, what the heck does ESG actually stand for? And I don't know what that is, and I got to roll out a system, a program for that. um, I think it's a great opportunity for you to take a little bit of time away from your office and say, okay, what do we want as opposed to what does everybody expect from us?
Yeah, and I think, at the end of the day, like we sell software at Focal Point, right? But I think folks are going to get a lot more out of talking with their peers that are going through
Yeah,
this stuff right now, right?
yeah,
Because then you get a unbiased view of what they're going through rather than talking to suppliers, right? This is why network is so important
yeah,
uh, with your peers in procurement, because they're in the trenches with you every day. They're not trying to sell you software. And again, not that we're bad people. It's just, not everyone's been a 25-year practitioner like me. So at the end of the day, like you need to talk to folks that are or have been practitioners so you actually get some idea of what's going on out there.
do you think, I mean, listen, you've seen all the models, you've been to all the conferences, as a good marketer and as a good CEO you have to cover all the bases. From a procurement foundry perspective, do you think that that peer networking element that procurement foundry brings is kind of a core or a key differentiator for us?
It is, right? So I think the community, and there are different communities out there, right? And I think that's okay.
Yep,
So again, like I think the community aspect of being able to ask folks like what's going on with you, how are you doing this, how are you doing that is invaluable.
yep,
And a lot of conferences is basically flashy and sort of like look how great everything is. And
right.
to me that like it's kind of surfacey, but there's no real depth to it, right? And I think that's what the community can bring to the fore is really the whole aspect of these are people that are going through it right now or have done it recently, and then sort of talk about the real substantive issues rather than so staying on top of the surface, so to speak.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I see that more and more at our events. People meet each other, they know each other from the community, then they meet physically in person, and then they go back into the community and they have an even stronger relationship after it's kind of that, okay, I just went to a conference and I so want to network and collaborate, but there isn't that opportunity. And for us, it's just part of the ethos of what we do. So I think that that's probably another core takeaway from the Atlanta show as well.
But
Um, Go ahead.
now I also think too, like procurement people, most of us tend to be raging introverts, right? So you have the whole idea of drawing people into the conversation, having events that are, you know, uh, amenable to those kinds of interaction, right? I myself hate working in a room. So having ways of the social events and having dinners and so on like actually helps folks get out of their shell and actually do something, right?
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge of hosting a community like this and hosting these events is engagement. It's always a challenge to get people engaged, and it seems like once and that's one of the things I tell people when they come is I say, listen, this is a safe place for you. All of these people are practitioners. Nobody's going to judge you based on what you like. Just step out, meet people, take that conversation back. Explore the different opportunities that are available and the different solutions that are being provided to you with an open mind, like Focal Point. Um, and one of the things that I love about you and about your company is that you're an actual practitioner. And so asking you questions and asking your team questions because of the fact that you've transferred so much knowledge to them is so valuable because you get somebody who actually was in the game and then has now built a solution for the rest of us. And I think that that's one of the things that certainly separates you from the pack is I love the fact that people walk up and they actually talk to a practitioner when they're talking to you. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's how we approach our implementations also, right? It's not always the best way for us from a
Yeah,
commercial perspective, but we will not rest until a client is successful and happy, right?
yeah,
So that means we sit down with them, rework their processes, come up with recommendations, do a lot of free consulting for them, and then make sure that they fully take advantage not just of Focal Point, but also of their existing infrastructure. Like, have you thought about using your P2P solution this way? And here's how
right.
we can integrate with that solution and make that better for everybody, right? So,
Yeah,
and it's both good and bad, right? Good, customers are happy. Bad, implementations tend to drag out a little bit longer than what we wanted them to, but at the end of the day, it's a good outcome for everybody.
yeah. I was going over the agenda this morning and looking at what's going on, and I got to be honest with you. I'm really proud of what we're doing here. I mean, we've got a women in procurement session, we've got an active leaders session, we've got CPO dinners, we've got 2 days of really great content with some really good speakers coming in from all around the world. We've got an amazing group of partners slash, excuse me, partner slash sponsors. Um, and for our third actual physical event ever hosted by Procurement Foundry, I'm just thrilled to death at what the team has been able to do, and it's all enabled because of the partnerships with people like Focal Point and Anders. So if you come and you're getting value out of what we're doing and how we're doing it, it's because of guys like Anders and his support of our community. So once again, Anders, thanks so much for everything that you do for us and what the Focal Point team does for us as well. By the way, for those of you who don't know, Anders was actually part of the steering committee that helped us design and deliver this conference as well. I think you're the first sell side practitioner that we've actually had on a steering committee, and your insights and your input were fantastic. So thanks for that as well. I really appreciate it. That adds a whole new dimension to, I think, the quality and the value of the conference when we have somebody like you who can tell us what the other side is thinking as well. And so thanks for your participation on that. And I look forward to it. I'm excited to get down there and see people and say hello. It's been a while. You know, we did Chicago, and we're planning another one for May again in Boston right now. But I'm excited to get to Atlanta and see everybody.
Likewise, and Atlanta is home for us in Focal Point, so we're planning on showing up in force.
Yeah.
And we look forward to interacting with everybody.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get like a decent restaurant after I unwind on Friday or something like that before I head back out to the airport after we leave. But other than that, listen, thanks everybody for taking the time to listen to us. We're really excited to host you down in Atlanta. Come over and meet Anders and his team. They're doing really amazing stuff. As he said, they've been around the world and back, so they've got a ton of information associated with what other folks, including their clients and other folks that they're talking to, are doing right now. Don't just tap into the panels and the conversations. Actually, Anders has never said no to a question that I've ever had. So swing by and say hello to him. He's always, and as I said, he's a practitioner as well. So he'll give you the CPO. What did you say? Introvert, the massive introvert? No, you said a manic introvert. What was the comment you said?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Michael.
You said we're introverts by nature. You said,
oh yeah, I'm a raging introvert.
A
yes.
raging introvert. So I got to admit, now that we've known each other for a couple of years, you're not as much as an introvert as you used to be. And it's funny when we get together because he truly doesn't like to work a room, and I don't do anything but work a room. So, all right. Well, listen, thank you, everybody. Anders, thanks again for your time today. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you and spend a little bit of time with you in Atlanta, man.
Likewise. Take it easy and look forward to seeing everybody.
All right, pal. Thank you so much. And everybody, can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Cheers.